person everyone leans on doesn't mean you don't need support too. And constantly giving without receiving isn't necessarily selflessness, it's slow motion burnout. You're allowed to need people, even if you're good at being needed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Universe Podcast. I am thrilled to have you here. And the core of this message stems from a few things that I've been seeing recently. If you know me, I'm a huge fan of the military, and Navy SEALs, SAS, all those other branches of the military. And I listen to a lot of military-based podcasts. And in these podcasts, I realized that the one thing that breaks a lot of these veterans is not being checked on. Like, they have so many people relying on them and coming to them for things, but nobody really asks if they're doing well, if they're okay, etc. So that's where the core of this stems from. But before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe on your way in, and I hope that this is impactful in any way. Feel free to comment and share. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for future episodes, I'm always open to that. And again, all links will be in the description below, and I am very, very glad to have you here. So, if I'm being honest, there's a weird feeling of loneliness that comes with being the kind of person that everyone calls when life might not be the best. You're the one that people text or call at certain times of the morning, like 2 a.m., the one who always knows what to say, the emotional support friend, quote unquote, the listener, the advice giver. And don't get me wrong, you love being there for people. It feels spectacular to help, to be trusted, to matter. But here's the thing no one tells you. When you're always a strong one, people tend to forget that you're also a human going through your own things. They forget you have bad days, that you're carrying your own stuff, that sometimes you're the one, you're one more crisis away from completely breaking down. But you can't, because everyone needs you to hold it together. And the worst part is you feel guilty even thinking this because you're supposed to be selfless, right? You're supposed to want to be there for people, and you do. But somewhere along the way, you become the person who gives and gives and gives and gives and gives and forgot how to ask for anything back. So you end up in this weird space where you're surrounded by people who love you, but you still feel isolated in a way because no one is asking how you are doing. And when they do, it's surface level. How are you? I'm good. Because they're not really asking. They just need you to be okay for the sake of a future unloading of whatever issue they may have. If that's you, this is for you. So, number one, how do you become that friend? So, how do you become this person? The emotional caretaker, so to speak, the therapist friend, as some call it, the one everyone depends on, but nobody thinks to check on. Usually, it starts young. Maybe you're a peacemaker within either family or friend groups. Maybe you're quote unquote the mature one or mature for your age, which just means in some cases, at least from a psychological perspective, that you've suppressed a lot of things early, which is not good at all. Maybe you're the helper. You got praised for being selfless, so you learned that your value comes from being useful. Or maybe you just cared a lot and people noticed. And once they noticed, they kept coming back. And here's the kicker, it really feels very good at first. Being needed feels like being loved. Being the person people trust feels like proof you matter. So you lean into it, you become the friend who always responds, always shows up, always has capacity. But over time, something shifts. What started as genuine care becomes an expectation. People stop asking if you have the bandwidth. They just assume you do because you always have before. And you don't know how to say no because saying no feels like letting people down, like proving you're not actually as strong as they think you are. There's this term in psychology called compulsive caregiving. It's when you reflexively take care of others, not because you want to, but because you don't know how not to do it, so to speak. It becomes your identity, your worth, the way you know how to connect. And that is the dangerous part. People will let you do it, not because they're bad people, but because we all gravitate towards the path of least resistance. It's a human thing. If you're always available, always helpful, always fine, why would they think to ask if you need something? They don't realize you're running on empty because you've gotten really good at hiding it. Second thing, um, the lonesomeness of being needed but not necessarily known. Here's what makes it so isolating. People know you, but they don't really know you. They know you as a friend who has it together, the one with the advice, the stable one. But do they know what keeps you up at night, what you're actually scared of, what might be breaking you right now? Probably not. Because you don't talk about that stuff, you deflect, you minimize. Someone asks how you're doing and you say, I'm good, how are you? And redirect the conversation before they can push deeper. And part of that is self protection, obviously, because if you're honest about how much you're struggling, you're afraid that number one, they wouldn't know what to do with it because they're used to you being the one with the answers. Number two, they'll think you're weak or can't handle things anymore. Number three, they'll feel guilty for adding to your plate. Number four, or worse, they'll disappoint you. They won't show up the way you would always shown up for them. And that confirmation that love isn't equal will hurt more than just staying silent. So, what do? You stay silent, you keep being the strong one, and the loneliness grows. And there have been times back then, might be going through something, genuinely struggling, and I had a bunch of people that you've been there for. You receive their calls at 2 a.m. in the morning, or sit with them on a call for 5 hours, maybe staying up late with them, celebrating their victories, and these are people that you love deeply. Um, and then I thought, okay, now it's my turn. I need to let someone in. So you reach out. Sometimes you're like, can we talk and stuff like that. And some people don't respond. Some respond, but clearly don't know what to say. Some just didn't engage. Others are supportive. Felt like surface level, or like, we're ticking a box. And that's how it feels a lot of the time. Um, and I realized not everyone is equipped to hold the space for you the way you did for them. Not because they didn't care, but because that friendship, so to speak, had been built on being the caretaker. They didn't know how to reverse the roles. It wasn't, quote unquote, in the script. And that hurts, obviously, not in the angry way, but in an, oh, this is what it feels like even when you're surrounded by people. That's what the loneliness feels like even when you're surrounded by people. And third thing, why reciprocity isn't selfish. If you're someone who resonates with this, you've probably been told or told yourself that wanting this reciprocation from someone is selfish. That real love is selfless, that you shouldn't keep a score. And yeah, healthy relationships are not transactional. You don't do a favor expecting one back. But here's the thing, relationships aren't supposed to be one sided either. There's a difference between keeping a score and recognizing a pattern. If you're always giving and never receiving, that's not a friendship. That's a dynamic where you become someone's unpaid therapist, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to some extent. And you know what? You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to have friends who ask how you're doing and actually wait for a real answer. Notice when you're off, even when you're trying to hide it. Show up for you in the way you show up for them. Remember details about your life and not just their own. That's not selfish. That's called mutual care. And that's what healthy relationships are built upon. Even Jesus didn't pour into everyone equally. He had an inner circle: Peter, James, and John, people he was closer to, who he let see his struggles. In the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was at his lowest, he asked them to stay awake with him just to be present. And and they fell asleep. Kind of relatable, honestly. But the point is, even Jesus needed support. Even Jesus asked for it. Even if the literal Son of God didn't try to carry everything alone at the time when he was human, why do you think that you have to? And fourth thing, how to break the pattern without losing everyone. Okay, if you're realizing, yeah, this is me, I'm exhausted and I don't know how to change it without blowing up all my relationships, here's where to start. Number one, most important, and this is the thing that I feel as human beings we struggle to do, but from my experience, it is something that will set you off and free you from a lot of things. Number one, stop pretending you're fine. Next time someone asks you how you are, try this. Honestly, I've been better. It's been a rough week. That's much better than saying, oh, I'm fine. It's okay. I'm good. How are you? It's good to be, you don't have to go too deep into it, but at least acknowledge that you are struggling. At least acknowledge that. And then don't immediately redirect. Let there be space for them to respond. See if they lean in or check out. That'll tell you a lot. Number two, ask for what you need, even if it feels strange or weird to you. It can be something as simple as, hey, I'm going through ABC and I could use a friend to just listen. Can I vent for a bit? This could be to your parents, it could be to your best friend or just someone that you trust. And it feels vulnerable, it feels uncomfortable, but the truth is, people can't read your mind, and you need to stop assuming that they can. If you don't tell them you need support, they'll assume you don't. Number three, notice who actually shows up. When you start being honest about your struggles, pay attention. Some people will rise to the occasion, some won't. And that's information. It doesn't mean you have to cut people off, but it does mean you might need to adjust your expectations. Not everyone can meet you at the depth you've been meeting them, and that's okay. You can still care about them, just maybe not pour into them the way you have been. Number four, set boundaries without guilt. I don't have the bandwidth to talk about this right now, but I want to be there for you. Can we catch up this weekend? Or even just, I'm really drained today and I need time to recharge. You don't owe everyone access to you 24/7, and the right people will understand that. Number five, find friends who want to reciprocate. Sometimes the issue isn't that people are bad friends, it's that you've been choosing people who need a therapist, not a friend. And there's a difference. Look for people who already have emotional awareness, who ask questions, who remember things, who check in without being prompted. They exist. And I have some of those friends, and I'm very grateful for them, and they know themselves. And I'm very, very grateful for those friends. And I have those family members as well, my parents especially. They exist. You just might, have to be intentional about investing in those relationships instead of pouring into people who can't pour back. And next thing is, what if they don't show up? Here's the scariest part about all this. What if you start being honest about your needs and people don't show up? What if you ask for support and get crickets? What if you realize the people you've been carrying can't or won't carry you back? That's a real possibility, obviously. We're humans and it hurts. And here's what I want you to hear: it's better to know than to keep pretending. Because right now, let's assume you're exhausted and lonesome. You're giving everything and getting nothing, and you're doing it with a smile on your face, for example. If you start being honest and people don't show up, you'll still be lonely, but at least you'll know the truth. And you can stop wasting energy on relationships that were never mutual to begin with. And here's the other side of that: some people will surprise you. Some people will step in and step up in ways that you didn't expect. Some friendships will get deeper because you let them see the real you. But you'll never know unless you try. And if nobody shows up, that doesn't mean you're unlovable. It just means you're surrounded by people who take more than they give. And you have to tell yourself and accept that you deserve better. Your worth isn't determined by how useful you are. You're not valuable because you're the person who people come to. You're valuable because you're you. Messy, tired, human, you. And the right people will see that. They'll want to know you, not just need you. And those are relationships that are worth keeping. So, in closing, if you're the friend everyone comes to but no one checks on, I want you to know something. You're allowed to be tired, you're allowed to want more, and you're allowed to need people, even if you're really good at being needed. Being strong doesn't mean you have to carry everything alone. It means knowing when to put things down, when to ask for help, when to stop performing and just be human. So here's your permission to stop being fine when you're not. Stop shrinking your pain because other people seems bigger. Stop pretending you don't need support because you're afraid of being a burden. You're not a burden, you're a person, you're a human being. You deserve the same care you've been giving everyone else. And maybe it's time to start asking for it. And that is it for this episode. I feel like it really stuck with me because apart from the military podcast that started this, train of thought that led to this episode, there's also people that I've seen in my life that are like this, that all are always caring for people over and over and over and over and over and over again, but never genuinely having the time to rest psychologically. And I've been there as well. I'm grateful that God has been able to put certain friends and family members in my life that I can be able to rely on. And one thing that I really value is honesty. And a thing that has really helped me over the past 1.5 to 2 years is not pretending. As I'd mentioned earlier, when something is not going well, I will say this and this and this is not going well. I would maybe talk to my mom or dad about it. Most of the time, that is the case. But still, when you're going through something, don't hide it. So thanks for listening. And if you resonated with this, maybe send it to someone who you think might need it too. Someone whom you think might need to hear it, or better yet, send it to someone and say, hey, this is me, and I could really use a friend right now. Whatever works for you. You do not have to do this alone. I repeat that again. You do not have to do this alone. So thank you guys for listening. And I promise the next episode will be, I think, slightly more lighthearted, so to speak. This one and the last one have been very deep topics, but I feel like everything is important to talk about, whatever it is. And this is just what I chose to talk about today. And I also want to just say before closing about an upload schedule. I'm hoping, really, really hoping that I'll be able to do at least three episodes per week. If not, it could be more. But I'll try my best to be consistent. Now that we're back to audio recording, this makes it much easier for me to just set up, do my research and record. And so I thank you so much for joining me. Hope this 20 minutes worth of your time has been worth it. And I will see you in the next one. So take care. Goodbye. God bless.